Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of my in-depth review of the new Imperial Knights Codex, which came out this weekend. It's a lot of fun. Basically, now there are more choices for Imperial Knights, not just the Errant versus the Paladin, but we'll be going over all of them today. Now there's 5, plus the Forge World ones. There's like, what, 5 Forge World ones, I think? Megara, Castigator, Acheron, Lancer, and the one with the gun that I don't remember. That's only in one rulebook. It's okay. So there's about 5 other ones. So there's like 10 Imperial Knights now. I got to collect some. So we'll start off with the, this one is going to be focused on the 5 types of Imperial Knights. Now there are 5 choices. They're all Lords of War, but they all have objectives secured. So that's pretty nasty. Pretty nasty. So we'll start off with Knight Errant. Knight Errant is still the same as it was before, but as I mentioned in my previous edition, I will be going over the rules, all of them as well. Because that way, if you didn't know the rules before, you'll know them now. So, Knight Errant is kind of your basic knight. Well, not basic, I'd say, but yeah, one of the standards. So the knights, by definition, are weapon skill 4, strength 10, front armor 13, and then side and rear armor 12. They have their initiative 4, 3 attacks, 6 hull points, and they're super heavy walkers. Yeah. So for 370 points, you get an Imperial Knight with a heavy stubber, which those who don't know is a 36-inch range, strength 4, AP 6, heavy 3 gun. Not very amazing, but it's good for some stuff. But the one thing that Knight Errants have that's really fun is the thermal cannon, which is a Melta on super steroids. Because basically it's a 36-inch range, so it's Melta from 18 or less. Strength 9, AP 1, Heavy 1, Large Blast, Melta. Pretty crazy. So it's a Large Blast that is, as I said, 18-inch Melta range. So you get 2d6 from 18 inches. And it's Strength 9, AP 1. So it's going to do some serious damage to things. Yeah, so it's going to be fun. And as I said, it's Melta, so that'll be good for popping pretty much anything. You know, if you get within 18 inches of a Land Raider, that Land Raider is dead. So, good stuff there. Next, it also has a Reaper Chainsword. Now, Reaper Chainsword is the basic weapon of the basic close combat weapon of the Imperial Knights, and it's Strength D, AP 2, and it's melee. So it's a melee weapon. Makes sense. And they also have an Ion Shield, which basically means that at the start of each shooting phase of your opponents, you get to redeclare what facing you want the Ion Shield to face. And whatever facing, so front, left side, right side, or rear, it gets a 4-up invulnerable save against that side, no other invulnerable saves against any other side. And you get to always declare it every turn. You can just choose based on how your opponent is maneuvering around you. So, the options for Knight Errant. Now, one of the things about this codex I really like is that it got more options because of the carapace weapons. So we'll start off with, and plus the new weapons as well. So a Knight Errant can replace his Reaper Chainsword with the Thunderstrike Gauntlet for 10 points. Now this gauntlet has the Strength D, AP 2, Melee, Colossal, and Hurl rules. I went over them both in the previous one. Colossal means it goes to Initiative 1, and it's basically unwieldy, right, for Colossals. And then the Hurl means once you destroy like a monster creature or a vehicle, you can throw a blast equal to the toughness of the monster creature or the half the armor value of the vehicle onto something else. So it's pretty cool, large blast. So for 10 points, that's a lot of fun. Now the big thing is you will go last. So the good thing about Knights is that they go at a higher initiative than the Power Fists. The Power Fists are essentially what you have to worry about. The Melta Bombs and the Power Fists, and the Chain Fists and such, and the Hammers. Most of them go at Initiative 1. So the big question is, do you want to give up your initiative to go at Initiative 1? Depending on what you're up against, maybe. Depending on what you're up against, maybe not. Because you want to go first before the Fist so you can kill them, less things to attack you back. Up to you. But it's pretty fun to drop a blast on things. If you're up against Tyranids, do it. Because Tyranids have no answer. None. You can also replace your Heavy Stubber with a Melta Gun. Now the reason for the Stubber, you have both a stubber and a thermal cannon, is you have to assault one of the things you shoot at. So you basically shoot the thermal cannon at something at far range you want to destroy, and then or the heavy stubber. Then you shoot the other one at something closer that you want to assault, and then you assault the second thing. Basically that's it. You replace the heavy stubber with a meltdown for 5 points. That's actually a pretty good idea as well. Yeah. May take one of the following carapace weapons. So here are the 3 carapace weapons that are now involved. Now they're all in the new kits. There's the Iron Storm Missile Pod for 30 points. You get a 72-inch range, Strength 5, AP 4, Heavy 1, Large Blast Pinning. So goodbye Hordes. Yeah. You know, Heavy 1, Large Blast Pinning, 72-inch range. That thing's hilarious. So for 30 points, might be worth taking. You could also take a Twin Icarus Autocannon, which I'll go over in a second, because Icarus, basically, you know, it's going to have Skyfire and Interceptor. So it's 47-inch range, Strength 7, AP 4, Heavy 2, Interceptor, Skyfire, Twin Linked. Cool. So if you know you're up against a lot of flyers, this thing's the way to go, because it's Interceptor, so once it comes on, you can fire at it, and that'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, and then Strength 7, AP 2. Sorry, AP 4, but it'll still do some damage to flyers. And then there's also the Storm Spear Rocket Pod. Now this is just basically a missile launcher, you know, but it's 48-inch range, Strength 8, AP 3, Heavy 3. So if you want to shoot 3 missiles, killing some Space Marines, good stuff there. That's for 40 points. The Twin Icarus Twin Icarus Autocannon is 35. So that's the Knight Errant in a nutshell. The cool thing, as I said, about the new Codex is a lot more options to do. As you said, all those options weren't basically available in the previous one. Up next, we have the Paladin. Now, the Paladin was the other one from the old Codex. 375 points. It's still the same as it was before. Same stat line as the previous guy. They all have the same stat line, so I won't go over that much more. But the Paladin has 2 heavy stubbers versus the Errant, which only had 1. And the Paladin has a rapid-fire battle cannon, which I love as well, because it's 72-inch range, Strength 8, AP 3, Ordnance 2, Large Blast. So it's going to do some serious damage to anything else as well. It doesn't have Melta, it's not AP 1, but it's a long-range gun, and it's great for just popping things from a distance. I've tried this out a couple times, and I've had some great results with it. And he also has a Reaper Chainsword and an Ion Shield. And in the same fashion as the previous guy, you can replace the Reaper Chainsword with the Thunderstrike Gauntlet for 10 points, 1 heavy stubber with a Meltagun for 5, and you can take one of the following carapace weapons: Iron Storm Missile Pod for 30, Twin Icarus Autocannon for 35, or a Storm Spear Rocket Pod for 40. Good stuff there. So now we're on to the new Knights, people. These are the cool guys. We'll start off with the middle ground one. I'm going to call one middle ground, melee, and shooty. This is middle. So this is Knight Warden for 375 points. So the same as a Knight Paladin. You get an interesting guy. So he's the same stat line as the other guys. 4-4, Strength 10, 13-12-12 armor, Initiative 4, 3 attacks, 6 hull points. You get, their war gear is an Avenger Gatling Cannon. So this is different. Now this one is, I don't know about this one. I'm thinking about this Knight. So it's a 36-inch range, Strength 6, AP 3, Heavy 12 Rending. It's interesting. If you know you're up against a Space Marine army, take it. Because, 12 shots with Rending and it's AP 3, it's going to do some damage to a lot of Space Marines. Now the problem is you're going to face, against shooting vehicles from a distance, you're not in good shape. So, but as a Rending, I guess. So I can deal with vehicles as well on 6s. So yeah, it's not bad. It's an interesting option. It's just nothing like the giant large blasts of the other guys, or the 36-inch Meltagun, the Strength 9 AP1. But it is a very interesting gun. So again, 36-inch range, Strength 6 AP3, Heavy 12 with Rending. So interesting. Heavy stubber, a Reaper Chainsword, and an Ion Shield. And of course, like the previous guys, you can replace the Reaper Chainsword with a Thunderstrike Gauntlet for 10, replace the Heavy Stubber with a Meltagun for 5, Iron Storm Missile Pod for 30, Twin Icarus Autocannon for 35, Storm Spear Rocket Pod for 40. So that's the question. Now, what kind of weapon do you want to equip your guy with? So now we have the options so far. So with the difference of 5 points, we have a guy with the Thermal Cannon. So Strength 9, AP1, 36-inch range Melta. It's a large blast, heavy one. Or we have the Paladin with the Rapid Fire Battle Cannon. So Ordnance 2, large blast, Strength 8, AP 3, which is pretty fun. Or you have the choice with 12 shots, Strength 6, AP3, rending. This will be good against flying monster creatures, against flyers, because you can't shoot the templates at it. It'd be good against monster creatures and Tyranids and orcs and stuff. And you know, and the large blasts are great, but of course 12 shots, if you have a good, if this guy was your warlord, for example, he gets a +1 to his ballistic skill, making him hitting on 2s. And if he hits on 2s, you know, 12 shots, 10 of them are going to hit. So it's going to eat a lot of stuff. So if you know you're up against Space Marines or in general just infantry, it's going to be a pretty good option. And he's middle ground. He's 375 points, so he's a pretty good points cost. And I think he's interesting. What do you guys think is the question, you know? He's interesting. But now we're on to the other two. As I said, there's Shooty McShooterson and Punchy McPuncherson. Now this next one is Punchy McPuncherson. His name is the Knight Gallant. And he's 325 points, so he's much cheaper than all the other options. He's 50 points cheaper than the other three guys, basically, and he's 100 points cheaper than the next guy that I'm going to talk about. Now, the reason why he's so much cheaper is he doesn't have any good guns. That's the thing. He's Punchy McPuncherson. He doesn't like to shoot. So, for 325 points, you get one with the same sound line as before, but his weaponry is only a heavy stubber. He doesn't get, you know, a thermal cannon or any of the big cannons. He just is a heavy stubber. So he shoots his heavy stubber, his Reaper Chainsword, and a Thunderstrike Gauntlet. So he's got a Chainsword in one hand and the Thunderstrike Gauntlet in the other. So I guess you get to choose which one you want to use in close combat. If you want to punch a guy or, you know, and plus he has 2 close combat weapons. So I'm guessing he has a +1 attack. It doesn't say that, but I'm guessing he would. Because he's got 2 different close combat weapons. Maybe I'm wrong. And he has an Ion Shield. So he's just Punchy McPuncherson. And you can replace his heavy stubber with Meltagun for 5 points, and you can take any of the Carapace weapons, Ironstorm Missile Pod for 30, Twin Icarus Autocannon for 35, Storm Spear Rocket Pod for 40. So he's an interesting one. He's bare bones. And once again, if you're playing like a 1,500 point game and you want to fit in a cheap knight, this is the guy to go to. Also, I think this knight is going to be awesome if you have a very shooty army that you just want to bring a close combat hitting monster. Or something to scare your opponent to take their attention off your guys. If you're playing with a Tau army, for example. The Tau are very shooty from a distance. You might want to ally with this guy. I don't think you can, actually. Never mind that one. Imperial Guard, Sisters of Battle, or... I guess you can ally with anybody. No. I don't know. So, like, any of the shooty armies that want to stay at a distance, this guy might be the way to go, because you send him at your opponent. He's the scary thing, and he draws all the attention away from your shooty guys. And his goal is just in close combat, so you're going to run him turn 1. And then you get in close combat, and you attack things. That's basically it. He's interesting. As I said, he's going to be an interesting guy. I don't know if he's going to be the most used, but he's 50 points cheaper than the other knights. And you get to do some damage in close combat, and that's really where a lot of the fun is with the knights. But... up to you. If he has his uses, as I said. He's going to be the one that people are going to really think about. He's going to be very situational. Versus the other ones which have a good shooting ability and close combat. He's just close combat, basically. Interesting. And the final one is Shooty McShooterson. He's called the Knight Crusader, I believe. Yeah, the Knight Crusader. He is 425 points, so he's 100 points more than the other ones. So you can guess it. You start with 375 base, you remove 50 to go close combat, and you add 50 to go Shooty McShooterson. So Shooty, that's his new nickname, by the way. I nicknamed him that. Same stat line as before. Now, if you have Shooty McShooterson, he should be your warlord. Yes. I guess he's blasts, but maybe not. You might be able to get away with him not being your warlord. Because he has blast, so you don't have to really worry about scatter. And you may want the close combat guy to be your... up to you. Depends on the situation. So, the Knight Crusader, same stat line as before, but he has 2 things. He has the Avenger Gatling Cannon, which, as I mentioned, is the Strength 6, AP 3, Assault 12, Heavy 12, Rending. But he also has a Heavy Flamer. And a Heavy Stubber. So he's a Heavy Flamer and a Heavy Stubber. Heavy Flamer, of course, being the normal, Flamer template. Strength 5, AP 4, 1. Now, I don't know if the extra 50 points is worth a heavy flamer. I don't know. 50 points just for that extra heavy flamer? No, sorry, he also has a thermal cannon. That's what I was thinking of. That's why he's so expensive. That makes sense. So look at all the weapons he has. He has an Avenger Gatling cannon. He has a thermal cannon, heavy flamer, heavy stubber, and an ion shield. So that's 4 guns. 4. Yeah. 4 guns that he can fire, you know. That gives you tons of options for what you want to do. Tons of options, you know. If people assault you in, you can use a heavy flamer, for example, to use that as the... No, they can't overwatch anyway. Sorry, they can't overwatch if they assault you. So you have an Avenger Gatling cannon, heavy flamer, heavy stubber, thermal cannon, and an ion shield. That's pretty cool. So again, he is going to sit in the back and just fire at stuff. He's got a 36-inch Melta, large blast, and he has a 36-inch range, strength 6, AP 3, assault 12 rending. Sorry, heavy 12 rending. Again, this guy might be the one you want to give your warlord trait to because he stays in the back, drawing your opponents near him, and he's got good shooting. You want to give him that extra one to the ballistic skill so that he hits like 10 out of 12 shots and just murders Space Marines. This guy is going to be Space Marines. Oh, he's going to kill Space Marines like no one's business. Or kill pretty much anything other than Terminators. Or you just drop a Melta Blast on them. That'll kill Terminators. It'll kill Paladins with Feel No Pain like no one's business. Yeah, he's going to be pretty nasty. He's 425 points, so he's going to be situational again because he's really expensive. But if you take him in combination with the other guy, the Gallant, or Gallant, it balances out to a normal points cost. Cool stuff. And once again, he replaces the heavy stubber with a Melta Gun for 5 points. I think you should, because I don't see them using the heavy stubber over the, Melta Gun's nice. Maybe put his thermal cannon with a rapid fire battle cannon. Now the rapid fire battle cannon, as I mentioned, is on the original guy. It's strength 8, AP 3, 72-inch range, ordnance 2, large blast, and a heavy stubber. I still prefer so basically for 5 points, because that's the difference in points between the Paladin and the Errant. Basically, right now he's an Errant plus extra things, and then for the extra 5 points, you make him a Paladin plus extra things. 50 points. So if you have 50 points to spare, make him a Crusader. Have some fun. He'll destroy stuff. Now, he's not close combat oriented, though. So he doesn't have the strength D in close combat. He'll just be strength 10. Not as good. And, of course, you can take any of the following carapace weapons. Iron Storm Missile Pod for 30. Twin Icarus Lotto Cannon for 35. Storm Spear Rocket Pod for 40. I think you should. You may want to give him like an Icarus autocannon, buff his ballistic skill, and just let him have fun in the back of the field, popping everything. He's cool. And that's it. So now we have 5 Imperial Knights to choose from. So let's go over the bait ones. We have the 2 basic ones from the last edition. The Paladin and the Errant. The big difference is one of them has a giant Melta Blast, the other one has a long range, strength 8, AP 3, double blast. You have a bunch of upgrades now. And then we have the 3 new guys. We have Middle Ground Guy with his 36-inch range, strength 6, AP 3, heavy 12 with rending. We have Punchy McPuncherson, who is basically Imperial Knight with no guns, but double crazy weapons in his hands. And then we have Shooty McShooterson, the Crusader, with 2 crazy guns and no close combat real options, but he's still strength 10 in close combat, so, he's a super heavy walker, so he has Stomp. That's still good for close combat. They have Fear, Invincible, Smash. They have Smash, so they're AB2. So he's still in close combat. Even the Gallant, sorry, not the Gallant, the Crusader in close combat is still strength 10 AP2. So he'll still do some serious damage, but he doesn't get to, he's not strength D and doesn't get to throw and hurl stuff. Hurl's pretty fun. So it's up to you. We have a bunch of options now. 370, 375, and 375 for the middle guys. Punchy McPuncherson is 325, so it's a nice cheap option if you want some really heavy hitting close combat power with no shooting. Or for 425, you get the guy who can shoot anything from a distance and just destroy anything. So he's pretty nasty. And again, he might be the one you want to give the +1 ballistic skill to, because if you're firing that many things, it's a good idea to have ballistic skill 5. You know, it's up to you. So that's it. Those are the 5 Imperial Knights. I went over them in really good detail, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. In the next video, I'm going to be going over the formations and give my final thoughts on this codex. I like it. Yeah. So stay tuned for the next part. Until the next time, it's Jay saying, please like the video, comment in the comment section down below, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you disagree? Anything else you want to add? And until next time, this is Jay saying, happy painting.